Hi there, Scorpio. This is Carrie at wooingnature.life. I hope you are well. This is your reading for May 2020. I am going to be reading today from the Sacred Earth Oracle. I'll be pulling 2 cards from that deck. And then I will also be reading from Carolyn Mace's Archetype cards. I will also be doing a reading for you from the Tarot of the 1001 Nights, which is one of my favorite tarot decks to use. And then I will end with the Alphabet for Lovers. And with the Alphabet for Lovers, I'm going to look at all of our loved ones, whether they be family, friends, spouses, children, just whoever suits that or fits that bill. Okay? All right, Scorpio. So first off, we're going to the Sacred Earth. It's always good to go to the Sacred Earth, especially when you are seeking answers about your daily life, about your walking life. So we're going to go to the Sacred Earth for you. All right? All right, what we have here is discernment and moderation. Discernment and moderation. Okay, we're going to look at both of these. The first thing we're going to take a look at, of course, is discernment. Discernment is it goes to your intuition. It's about your intuitive nature and your intuitive state. And Scorpio, you all know that you all are very in touch with that. You're good with discerning what's happening around you and using that. Now, the thing to think about is discernment is one thing, but then acting upon it is something else. So you can see something, feel something, sense something, but then if you don't act upon it, then it can't do you any good. Your discernment can't do you any good. So be discerning during the month of May. Be observant, be watchful, pay attention to your feelings and your emotions. Pay attention also to changes in a space. So like if you're in a space and you feel good and then all of a sudden things change or things shift and you're no longer feeling comfortable in that space, then you will, do what moves you. You're following your instincts, and following your instincts is highly recommended at this time, and always, but especially for you in the month of May. And then we have moderation. Moderation to me reminds me of the Temperance card in the tarot, where you have to balance out your drive or what maybe fuels you, but then what is needed and what you need to nourish you. So it's a balance between nourishment and drive, or compel, when you feel compelled towards something. You have to manage your emotions when it comes to moderation, because a lot of times when we are not doing things in moderation, or if we're doing things in excess, it has something to do with how we're feeling on the inside. I know for those of you who may be dealing with eating pattern, eating habits that are associated with feeling good, then you want to pay attention to that. So using your instincts, going back to discernment and using your instinctual nature, do that for yourself as well, and know when enough is enough of whatever it is that you are that you may be having an excess of. And also excess isn't just about what we're consuming, whether it's alcohol or drugs or food or whatever. We also have to be in moderation about our thoughts, and knowing when to curtail those as well, because sometimes we can let our thoughts run away with us. I do see for you, Scorpio, that this is a time for you to really be listening and paying attention to your spirit. That's really going to inform your thoughts. Okay? It's going to inform your thoughts, and that's very important too, because when we're talking about moderation here, you have to You have to make sure that you're understanding your thought patterns, and whether or not those thought patterns lead to something that you want or you desire or that are positive, or whether those thought patterns are blocking you or hindering you or keeping you in a situation that you don't want to be in. So I am seeing your thoughts and your ideas are in a different place, in a lighter place, not in a heavy place. So just bear that in mind, Scorpio, when you're dealing with the moderation, that you make sure you are exercising that same sentiment when it comes to your thoughts, the thought patterns that you're hanging on to. All right, so moving right along to Carolyn Mace. This is a deck of archetypes. These are all patterns of behavior or personality types. You can see it as personality types. It could be a personality trait as well. So it could be a specific trait that you need to adopt, or it could be a specific trait that you need to be made aware of. Okay, these could also be people that you encounter with these same types of behaviors, same types of ways, I'm gonna say. So ever how you receive it, whatever comes up, you just take it as whatever it is, okay? So these cards have a light side and they have a shadow side. So if they come in reverse, I read the shadow side. If they come in upright, then I read the light side, right? And then that way we'll know who we're working with. All right, one more and then we're ready to go. And I'm just pulling three. Just pulling three today. We've got a shadow pioneer, a shadow destroyer, and a shadow damsel. So let's just see what these have to say. The shadow pioneer, again, this one came in reverse. If we're talking about a pioneer, that everybody kind of knows what a pioneer is. It says here in the light version, it's a passion for doing and creating what has not been done before. So that's a very positive thing, to be a pioneer. But if it's in the reverse, then this is somebody who has a compulsive need to continue to move on, which to me says running away. So if you are feeling like, okay, as soon as the going, what they say, the going get tough, then the tough get going. Well, we don't mean that you get going when it gets tough. We mean that you have to bear down, you have to stay focused. And if you find yourself being a shadow pioneer where you're all of a sudden, oh, I think I'm going to do this next because the other thing that you wanted to do got too hard and then you decided to quit, you'll want to be mindful of that energy within you, Scorpio. Quite frankly, I think that that's probably where it's coming from. Do know that if you are harboring certain kinds of attributes and behaviors and that kind of thing, but you're unaware of it, or you're being blithely unaware of it, Spirit will send you somebody just like yourself to irritate you. It will happen. So sometimes you might end up with somebody who's behaving this way and it just irritates you to death, but it's there to alert you to where that exists inside of yourself. All right, now we also have I always want to say a closet. It could be a closet destroyer or it could be a shadow destroyer that's coming in reverse. In the light attribute, the destroyer releases what is potentially destructive and prepares for new life. Now, I think about this, when I think about the destroyer, I think about some of the destroyer type of spirits, entities, those from other cultures like Kali, are destroyers, and Danto is like a destroyer type of spirit or energy. And so in that sense, the destroyer is there to take away things that are no longer needed. So it's considered to be a positive. It's considered to be a good thing. It's not always, just because something is being destroyed doesn't mean that it leads to a negative. The other thing that I think about in relationship to destroying being a positive is when people burn down the crops, because that prepares the next, prepares the soil for the next crop. So it's like, yeah, you're destroying it, but that's because it's over with, it's done. So now we're burning the crops or burning the fields so that it replenishes the earth. So that's the positive side of the destroyer. On the shadow side, we're talking about the intoxication with destructive power or destroying other people's dreams or potential. So this is a difference. This is like, like being the buzzkill, or being the person that always brings up the negative, or, you're killing other people's dreams by not being encouraging, or not seeing how it could be helpful, or seeing where things are helpful. So this again can come up in the form of people outside of you. You want to pay attention to that type of thing that's happening around you, because it means that they're not operating in the positive. Now, if they're operating in the positive, then what is being destroyed or what is being taken away is actually good for the whole. In this situation, it's just being destructive for the sake of being destructive. And the other thing I'm thinking about is when we say intoxication with destructive power, it's also being intoxicated with destructive thought patterns. And I've really been talking a lot about thought patterns. So the thought patterns that can be destructive in nature, you'll want to be aware of that too, and then where it crops up in your daily life. And then we have a shadow damsel that came in reverse here. In the light, the damsel understands the nature of healthy romance and inspires you to rely on yourself. Okay, but in the shadow, it says that you're waiting for this night to provide for you, and the seduction of a romantic illusion. So for those of you who are who are seeking romantic relationships, make sure that you're not seeking the relationship in order to save you in some way, right? Well, when you get into a relationship with somebody where you're doing the saving, or the other person is being saved by the relationship, and you get tethered to it, or you get too attached to it, then when the healing happens, then that's when you start realizing that, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. Well, it was always what it was. But sometimes we attach to that person. It's okay for people to come into our lives to help us and to strengthen us, because we're there for each other for that reason. But what happens when you're in a romantic relationship where there's this savior, damsel in distress kind of thing going on, then once the healing has taken place, and once you've been quote unquote saved, either yourself or through the other person, then there's no more bond, there's no need for the bond anymore. And then that distresses us. So just the idea is just to not get into it to begin with. Like, don't go down that road if you don't have to. And certainly we don't want to create in our romantic relationship some kind of unnecessary neediness that other people cannot handle, because it is not the responsibility of your partner to shoulder your issues. It is not their responsibility to shoulder that. It is part of your responsibility as a unit, as a couple, to fortify each other, to support each other, yes. But it is not about, your relationships are not about, save me, save me, save me. And I always got to have somebody there to pick me up when I fall. And you're the person who always has to pick me up when I fall. That's a slippery slope that is going to put a lot of extra burden on the significant other if it's something that you're doing, and if it's something they're doing, it's going to put a significant burden on you. Okay? Love Carolyn Mace's archetypes. I have to shout her out every time I use her because I don't pull them out very often because the truth reigns in these cards right here, and sometimes people don't like the truth. It gets to be quite tenuous up in there with Carolyn Mace, but I do appreciate what she's put together there, and it's always been enlightening whenever those cards have come out. When I started meditating on what cards we were going to use for this month's readings, and that one came up, I said, wow. I said, this is going to be something here. It's going to be something here. Spirit means it. We're going to get down to the nitty gritty. All right, I'm going to the 1001 Nights, Tarot of the 1001 Nights, to get the story for you for the month of May, Scorpios. This is your story. This just kind of gets a little more, gets us into a little more detail. Not generalizations, what to think about, but some detail about what's going on in your lives. Good Scorpio people. Yes, indeed. All righty. Let's see what we got going on here for Scorpio for the month of May. Scorpio for the month of May. Month of May, Scorpio. All right, Scorpio, it looks like you're building some new foundations for yourself, but you're starting from the inside. You may have somebody who is going to be a guide or a teacher or somebody to help you with that. I do see some meditation needed at this time for that building to take place, because the building that we're building now is not a physical thing, even though there may be physical aspects to it. It could be a business, it could be a concept, an idea, a project, an art project of some sort, or something artistic or creative. So it does have its tangibility. It is a tangible thing. It can be a tangible thing, but right now it's in the form of thought. It's in the swords, so the swords represent thought. So right now this is just in the process of you, the phase in the process for you is some beginning phases. It's in the thought, it's in the realm of thought, but there's going to be somebody there to help guide you through that and kind of organize it for you, and you're just going to have to be in a position to listen and pay attention. All right, we've got the Five of, what is this? I can't see because I don't have my glasses. Five of Pentacles in reverse. In this card, I always see, this is where I see the discernment happening. Now, yours came in reverse, but I'm going to show it to you upright so you can see what I'm saying. This is about discernment. You know, people will come to you here with different ideas, or they might have different concepts, or they might have